I guess that you brought it up yourself. Battle Realms 2, is there any possibility that we see that, and what would that entail if we were to see it, hypothetically speaking?
Man, I would love to do it. I would absolutely love to do it, but I refuse to do it crappily, right?
You want it to be a big
So,
production that really can, finally fulfill
well,
your
we just
fantasies of what it should be.
yeah, we so the story's there, right? The story, the Battle Realms 1 ends with Kenji being ready to go back across the break in the world and to go back to the mainland, right? So if you want to imagine Battle Realms fiction in your head, the easiest way to do it is to think of Australia and Tasmania, right? And think of Australia as the mainland, and think of Tasmania as the piece of land that was broken off of the mainland to save the people of that play out in Battle Realms, right? And that's where all of Battle Realms plays out in like that little tip off of the edge of the mainland. And the next step of the story is we're going to go back, right? We're going back across the mainland, and we're going to start slowly retaking the mainland. And you start finding out about where the Lotus clan came from. You start finding out that they were once a good clan that has kind of was subverted because Zymoth, excuse me, started playing with magics that were forbidden. And, there's a lot of like really wonderful story about, and we even started playing around with there are other clans that players haven't seen, the Crane clan, the Monkey clan, the Spider clan. There's a lot of
You
other.
can go anywhere you want with this, realistically. Like there's so many options.
Yeah. And so that's where it would probably go. It would probably be, Kenji going back onto the mainland, and you as the player, in the multiplayer game, you'll play multiple factions, but you as the player we would probably figure out, and this is the only piece I haven't figured out, is how do we decide whether Kenji is going to play out more serpent or more dragon? We might have that be more of a dynamic shift inside the game if that's possible. I really liked, I don't know if you just played multiplayer maps or if you played through the story, but
I just I really like. Yeah,
I really like what we did in scenario 1, where depending on who you attacked, that made your choice for you, and it wasn't like this pop up that said, "Do you want to be dragon or do you want to be serpent?" And it's like both sides asked you for help, and if you helped the bandits, you became serpent clan. If you helped the peasants, you became dragon clan. And we would probably do something like that in the next one. But beyond that, there's a whole story about what happened, where the Wolf clan goes, where Zymoth and the Lotus clan go, where and there's always this difficulty with dragon and serpent because they are two sides of the same coin. So there probably won't exist both. You probably pick one or the other to play. And then opening up new clans, right?
That's story-wise, right? That's where you're going with the story. You've sat back and seen kind of where the RTS genre is and kind of where it isn't, because we haven't had many RTS games. Gameplay-wise, have you given any thought to where the new innovations would be?
So, yes and no. I mean, I'll say yes only because back when we were writing Battle Realms, we have probably like a 5-page document of innovations we weren't able to employ.
Really? Wow.
And probably wouldn't make sense to employ in the original version because they introduce even more interesting mechanics that just aren't part of the fundamental game and would increase the balance level. I think that, just to give you one example, is the entire concept of ruins and that building materials are salvageable, right? And so that, like, when you destroy a building, you could actually mine the rest of that building, or you could actually capture buildings instead of destroying them, and you could actually, reuse those. And the idea that you might be able to capture an enemy building, and use some of its resources that existed there.
That's like a red alert, actually. That's a red alert mechanic then, right?
Well, what a surprise, right?
Right.
And there was lots of stuff like that we wanted to do. We wanted to have, like, when the bodies die on the battlefield, their corpses remain, and you actually can take stuff off of them, and you could actually, like,
take their armor, we had this whole, whatever, right?
Right. And we had this whole idea of like that what would happen is that ravens or vultures would come, right? And one by one, they would be the things that eliminated, and that we would have the body either slowly decay and or be eaten till the point where it's gone. So you could actually see the remnants of old battles in different forms, right, all over the map. And and now that we have such high powered machines, we can do all of this kind of cool world filling stuff, right? There was all sorts of stuff about taking down trees, burning forests that we didn't really engage in.
Right. Now you have no limitations technologically. Now your limitations are more ideologically,
right,
with ideas.
Yeah, and I think the vision would remain true to where we were in the beginning, which was, how do we map this more like the real world, right? How do we map this? The fun parts, right? We don't want to have to dig latrines and and deal with people showering and going to the bathroom, but the parts that actually create strategic interest to the game, right? Can people salt the earth so that rice doesn't grow back there? Can people, and stuff like that. So I think it becomes more of doing that kind of world building kind of concept, because I think that the more it feels like a real world, the more the battles feel like they matter to me.